people. And you can quantify this if you read the whole context. He goes on to say in verse 10, Israel's watchmen. Now, it doesn't matter whether you believe in Israel or you believe in Christianity, whatever religion you like there, because the watchmen are the rabbis or preachers. They're blind, he says. They all lack knowledge. And they are
dumb
dogs. They're all dumb dogs. Keep going.
They cannot bark. They lie around and dream and love to sleep. They are dumb dogs with pig's appetite. They never have enough. They are shepherds, rabbis, preachers who lack understanding. They all turn their own ways. Each seek their own gain. So in other words, we've got teachers in the last days that are referred to as dumb dogs. Now, if it's a dumb dog that doesn't bark, as you know, dogs are used as to warn you of danger. Guard dogs. Well, they don't bark, they're not much use to you. So in other words, these teachers are referred to as dumb dogs because they don't bark. That means they don't warn the people about the truth of what Yahweh has to say. And verse 12 it says, "Come," one cries, "let me get wine." Now if you look up what wine is in chapter 28, you'll find out it's referring to false teaching. So in other words, let's get another lot of false teaching. Let us drink our fill of the false teaching, and tomorrow will be like today, or even far better. And in Isaiah 2:12, Yahweh Almighty has a day in store for all the proud and lofty, for all that is exalted, and they will be humbled. And the arrogance of man will be brought low, and the pride of men will be humbled. And Yahweh alone will be exalted in that day. Isaiah 2:18, and the idols will totally disappear. See Daniel 2:40-45. 44 says, in the time of those kings, the religions, cultures of Babylon, Greece, Medo-Persia, and Rome, the God of heaven will set up the kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor it will be left to another people. It will crush all those religious cultures, kingdoms, and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure forever. 45.
Yes.
In the morning of the vision of the rock cut out of the mountain, but not by human hand.
Smash the iron.
Smash the iron, and the clay of bronze and silver and gold were smashed to pieces at the same time.
Now we'll put a graphic up in a moment for you so you can see what we're talking about there, but the idol of Daniel 2 is a head of gold, and then you've got Medo-Persia, and you've got the Grecian Empire, Alexander the Great, and Rome, and the legs, and then you've got the toes of iron and clay. But what it's saying to you here is, in that particular prophecy, it says that in Daniel 2 verse 44, in the time of all those kings, in other words, at the same time, at the end of days, they're all going to be destroyed together. So this will cut across what Christians teach, because Christians teach that Babylon was back in 586 BC, and then we've got Medo-Persia, and then we've got Alexander the Great, 321 BC, and so on. Well, that's not what it says in the Bible. It says this whole image will be smashed to smithereens by a rock cut out without human hands. Well, if it's a rock cut out without human hands, then it's a rock representing the creator God, Yahweh himself. A lot of other Christian teachers will teach that that's Jesus Christ. No, it's not. There's nothing to do with Jesus Christ in this prophecy whatsoever. And I'll just quote here from Stones in Hebrew, Zechariah 13:1. On that day a fountain will be opened to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and impurity. And on that day, he says, I will banish the names of the idols from the land. Well, in Daniel 2, in the prophecy there, he was going to completely and utterly wipe out all of the idolatrous cultures of Medo-Persia, Babylon, Greece, Rome, and so on. And if you need to understand what we're talking about there, we have inherited all of the religious cultures of those particular what would you say, of those countries. I mean, we've got Zoroastrian, which is Catholicism. We've got, in the Roman, we've got the moon god for Monday, Saturday for Saturn, Wednesday for Woden, everything we've got today is linked back to these religious cultures of those people. It goes on and says, Yahweh says, Yahweh Almighty, I will remove both the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land, and if anyone still prophesies his father and mother to whom he was born, will say to him, you must die because you have told lies in Yahweh's name, and when he prophesies his own parents will stab him. I don't understand that, but that's what it says in the book. Now in verse 4, on that day,
on the day every prophet will be ashamed of his prophetic vision. He will not put on the prophet's garment of hair in order to deceive. 5, he will say, I am not a prophet, I am a farmer. The land has been my livelihood since my youth. 6, if someone asks him, what are these wounds on your body? He will answer, the wound I was given at the house of my friends.
Now to make sure that we realise that Daniel 2 and this section is about the last days, if you go back into Daniel chapter 2, it says, the great God has shown the king, talking to Nebuchadnezzar, what will take place in the last days. So that's assuring you that Daniel 2 prophecy is concerning the last days, not concerning what happened about who conquered who back 500 years BC. And he goes on to say that the dream is true and the interpretation is trustworthy. It's describing on a mountain. It's describing what will happen in the last days, that Yahweh will put together a place to protect everybody and protect his creatures again. If you remember before, in the last judgment day on Noah's Ark, he put all of his pure-bred creatures on the ark to preserve them, and then went ahead and destroyed the entire earth. But he didn't recreate kangaroos and koala bears and buffaloes and birds and canaries and cats and dogs. He put them on an ark to save them. And it also says in that the harm was taken out of things like lions and tigers. Well, here again at this judgment day, and while he's causing absolute havoc out there on the earth, he is now going to protect the animals and the creatures again. Can you read that from Isaiah 2:6?
The wolf will live with the lamb, and the leopards will lie down with the goats, and the calf and the lion and the yearling together. The little children will lead them. 7. The cow will feed with the bear, and their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like an ox.
As I just said, where did the lion eat straw like an ox before this date? On the ark with Noah. Keep going.
It's also very interesting because there was the pure breed.
Yes.
And so there was the number of how many. It's very interesting if you read the story.
Yeah, that's a good point. What Mary's saying is that it's saying that why did he really have to wipe out all of the animals on the earth? Well, that was the time that he wiped out all of those which were genetically modified, if you like. They were the dinosaurs. They were not the pure-bred animals of creation. Not one of the dinosaurs was preserved on the ark. All of them died in one cataclysmic event. Now, you can get scientists tell you that it was a dust storm from outer space, or it was an ice age or whatever. Yeah. But let me also say, before the flood, there was no North and South Pole under the ice. It was all a hothouse. The reason why, if you go back to Genesis and the creation of the world, the entire earth was encapsulated in a water bubble. And that's the reason why you can find tropical ferns, tropical fish, tropical birds on both the North and the South Pole. And that's the time that he wiped out all living creatures other than what he preserved on the ark. Now, where are we up to? The infant, 8. Or you keep going there.
The infant will play near the hole of the cobras.
Snake, yeah.
Cobras, and the young child put his hand into the viper's nest. And they won't get bitten.
Yeah.
They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for each will be full of knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. So that means it's infinite.
Well, if the whole world is going to be covered with the knowledge of Yahweh, it's not today.
Oh, definitely.
So at this stage of the game, it's going to be, everybody's going to know what Yahweh is getting up to.
Isaiah 65:25, the wolf and the lamb will feed together, and the lion will eat straw like an ox, but dust will be for the serpent's food.
Here's a second example of, in a different place in the Bible, in Isaiah 65, confirming that the animals that would eat you up are now being fed like anything that eats the herbs of the land. They